Hello and welcome back to the Jessica Pinili podcast. How are we going? I feel like the last solo episode, it was all like business, no fun. So let's do a little bit of a catch up before we get into today's episode. It is Q2 already of the year. Holy guacamole. But Q1 was super fun, lots of travel, just lots of social time. But in saying that, a lot happening behind the scenes because there is a kind of new direction that I'm taking the business in over the next, I would say at least minimum 12 months to have everything kind of like solidified. But I did a lot of the back end planning in Q1, which actually took up a lot of mental space. And so when you are doing something that is taking up a lot of mental space, you feel a lot more exhausted and a lot more tired. And I have also upped my wellness routine. My health and fitness is a big priority for myself this year. Not that it has never been a priority. I mean, I worked in the fitness industry for 7 years, but I feel like since I started my business, it has always been like not the most important thing in my life. It has been important for me to show up and to do workouts and to get my steps in and to move my body always. And I've never really gone through a period where I'm like, that's not important at all. Like, I'm just going to disregard it. I always have. But I made a promise to myself this year that it was going to be more front of mind because, you know, when I'm feeling my best, this is like goes without saying for everyone. When I'm feeling my absolute best, like my business operates its absolute best. And then it flows on into my relationships, my abundance, into any area of my life. So that also kind of figuring out what's going to push me to a bigger capacity when it comes to my wellness, when it comes to my health, but also, of course, not burning myself out. So lots was happening in Q1 of just kind of like setting the foundation. And I think I've said this time and time again, for me, Q1 at the start of every year, the way that I've used it in the past couple of years, it always sets a foundation. And this is kind of like the theme of today's solo episode, but we'll get back into that in a moment. Just a bit more of a life update. I am actually sitting on a brand new couch, like very random life update, but yeah. Brand new couch. If you're watching here on YouTube, you can see. And I think overall, like, I have just been thinking a lot about life and just where I want to be and the long-term vision stuff. And funnily enough, my personal year in numerology, so you can, I can't remember how to work it out, but literally just Google how to work out my personal year in numerology is a 7. 7 is like introspection, it's reflection, it's really going slow. I'm type A. I'm an eldest daughter. I am go. Like for me, slow is like no. Even last night I said to my partner, my birthday's coming up in a couple of months. And I was like, normally I'm like the planner, yes, even for my birthday. And I don't mind that at all. I don't take it to heart. I'm not like, it must be a surprise. I'm like, I love organizing, right? And I even said to my partner last night, hey, I don't think I want it to be a surprise anymore. Like, can you please tell me what's happening? I would just love to know the process. And he's like, no, I'm planning it. So I'm like a go person. That's where I was going with that. So this year, funnily enough for me, is about slowing down. And it's why I've started reading again, not personal development, not business and not money, but just reading, you know, fantasy romance, reading mysteries, reading thrillers. I think in Q1, I read 26 books, 26 or 28, between that number. And it's funny because I set a goal. I was like, okay, this year, you know, part of slowing down, my partner bought me a Kindle for Christmas. I was like, I am going to not be reading personal development, only things that I have already read before, but I'm not introducing anything new because once you've read 5 personal development, business, money books, you've read them all. You know, it's just the same shit in different forms. And I don't mean shit like it's bad. It's not. It's helped me along my journey. It's given me so much knowledge, but like just a little tip there. Once you've read one, you've like 5, you've read them all. And it's really helped my mental capacity. But what I was saying is I actually set a goal in Q1 to read 6 books that weren't personal development, and I read 26 or 27 or 28. Anyway, I've fallen back in love with reading, and probably like most millennials, I first started to love reading by myself because, you know, I grew up, my mum would read to me, etc. But when Harry Potter came out, of course, so I feel like I found that part to me again, and it has helped me going back to what I was saying about my personal year 7 of numerology, it has helped me slow down. It has helped me be more creative in my business. It has just helped me have more headspace. I think like that's the most important thing. I feel like the past couple of years in business, I just feel like mentally I just haven't had a lot of like spaciousness when it comes to my mental capacity, and this is really really helping me. It also helps me when I get my steps in on the treadmill if I'm not doing them outside. It or on the stairmaster, it just helps me zone out, and it's a way better habit than actually scrolling on your phone, because I found towards the end of last year I was doing a lot of that. Like once I put my mind to something, like I'm productive as fuck. I can push through procrastination. I have like built up this tenacity where I can like question myself when I'm procrastinating to get myself out of that. But I was still just scrolling a lot, and it's just not good, for your mind. So that has really helped. But like back on everything is just like slowing down this year to speed up. Like the image and the word that keeps coming, I don't know if this is like an intuitive thing or from my guides or the universe saying something to me, but the word slingshot is exactly what I keep hearing about this year. Anytime that I feel frustrated because it feels like I am taking a few steps back, but quite literally like a slingshot, I am getting ready to be flung into whatever the universe has planned for me, but also what I am creating. And, 6 years, I'm 6 years in now in business. Well, actually, in another month or so, it's going to be 6 years. And it's just crazy because I feel like I've had these moments where I'm like, yeah, slow, and then, go, 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 go. But this year I can truly feel it's like no matter like the resistance I have to slowing down and just like reflecting and going inward and really nurturing my nervous system, really nurturing myself in a safe space, the more that the universe is rewarding me. But anytime I try to speed up, whether it's unintentionally or intentionally, the universe is like, no, like resistance, this is not what you're meant to do this year. Like I can quite literally feel the energy. It's crazy. Anyway, that is the theme for my year, and I want to keep like referring to that in the solo episodes I do so I can keep myself on track and reminders as well. But I would love to know, if you're watching here on YouTube, let me know in the comments below. Do you know what your personal year of numerology is? If you're listening to this, like slide into my DMs, let me know, tag me on your stories. But this kind of like a little bit of a segue into today's episode. Today's episode, I really want to talk about what it means to come into the rest of the year. So we've now hit quarter 2, and like I said to you, I use quarter 1, and I have done over the past couple of months to really just reflect what is working, what isn't. Now, for the next few months, not just quarter 2, but for quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, I really want you to look at them as number 1. You can make them as goalposts, signal posts, markers, like whatever word resonates, choose one, like even if I said one and it doesn't resonate. And I want you to actually start to actively track and audit where you are at. So use all of the data from quarter 1, right? From your personal life, your finances, your career, or your business. And then I need you to start every week doing an audit and review on where you are. If you want to make a change in your life this year when it comes to your income, when it comes to your relationships, when it comes to your abundance, your opportunities, experiences, etc., then I need you to start tracking. And this has been a process that I have been refining over time, and it just puts things into perspective. And I want you to go beyond actually just like asking yourself what works, what doesn't, right? That's a great reflection point at the start, at the end of every week, but I actually want you to start tracking everything. So if you're a business, I actually wrote a post that is on my Instagram newsfeed. It's like a CEO audit and review. Go and have a look at that. But basically, when it comes to business, every week you should be tracking your analytics and your data when it comes to your revenue, when it comes to your leads, when it comes to your churn rate, when it comes to, who's engaging with you, how many sales conversations, are you trying to build an audience, what's the purpose of your content, etc., etc. When it comes to your personal life, you need to be tracking what is going right in terms of data and analytics when it comes to my health and wellness, when it comes to my fitness, when it comes to my money and my finances? What are actually my goals? The reason why I wanted to dedicate an episode to speaking to you about this is because I keep having conversations with people who are going back into same patterns and repeating the same things, but it's because they're not tracking. It's because they're not using everything that happened in quarter 1, because now is the time of the year, April, where you start to realize the things that really were working and the things that really weren't. But most importantly, what do you keep repeating that isn't serving you? And so I really want to reiterate right now, this is your reminder, is you need to have a look at what isn't serving you and how you are tracking that to change by the end of the year. And at the start of every quarter, you go back and you look at the quarter before. So when we get to quarter 3, we're going to look at quarter 2 and we're going to have a look at everything that has been happening. We're going to look at all the data. We're going to look, okay, I am beating a dead horse by doing the same thing on my social media, or, I stuck to it for 90 days or whatever, 3 months when it came to my fitness routine, and I wanted to lose 5 kilos and I stuck to my calories, but I've only lost 1 kilo and nothing, my composition hasn't really changed. Right? Versus actually just being like, okay, I didn't hit the goal of losing 5 kilos. I didn't hit the goal of, adding an extra 5K onto my revenue. I didn't get that promoted, et cetera, et cetera. People, that's how people, I realize, if you want to repeat the same patterns, if you want to go on the same cycles, that's how you should be tracking. It's just in the head, airy-fairy in your journal, yeah, I didn't hit that. Okay, let's really stick to it, or let's lower our goal a bit in the next quarter. No. I promise you, if you take the time, I do it every CEO Monday where I actually Sunday, let me take that back. Sunday is more a reflection for my personal life and what's happening. I do the check-in, but CEO Monday is when I do the check-in for my business, when I do the check-in for my finances, when I do the check-in for all my analytics across Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Those are my main channels that I'm using right now. I mean, Threads, yes, but that's more of a fun thing. It's not something that I'm taking, seriously when it comes to data and analytics. So you need to actually give yourself the space and time every week to see what's happening. Now, on top of this or on the side of this, right? That's a very strategy based. So we know here we do the strategy meets the subconscious mastery. On the subconscious side, the identity side, I need you to start looking at how you are holding yourself, how you are perceiving yourself. I had to do a really big reflection, and I found myself slipping back into old ways of being when it came to my identity, when it came to how I was perceiving myself overall in life and business. And so I had to get really, really honest with myself of what am I actually shifting in real time? And in fact, on my YouTube, it should be up by now, but there I have made a YouTube video and I do 4 phases, changing your self-concept in 14 days. These 4 phases, you can quite literally draw them out or create it for the next 3 months in this quarter. It's going to apply the exact same dynamic, but basically it will take you through exactly how to become consciously aware. What are the things that actually need to shift when it comes to your identity? So go look at that on my YouTube. But I think that the reason that a lot of the time, if you were tracking, or if you're okay, Jess, I look at my data and analytics, or I'm doing these things, or I'm, reflecting every week, the reason it's not changing or shifting is because at the root of it, your belief system, you are not on board. The way you perceive yourself, the way you see yourself is not on board of where you want to go. And it has normalized, this is the biggest thing, it has normalized your current reality. You can't do that. If you want different results, if you are wanting to make $20, $30, $50, $100,000 a month in your business, you can't normalize making $10,000 now or $5,000 now. What you're doing now cannot be normalized. If you want to lose 10 kilos, you can't normalize looking and being the way you are now. It has, when you meet someone and maybe they have completely different attitude to life or a different opinion, right? I'm sure something has come to mind as I'm saying this, and they have said their opinion and it's not wrong or anything, but because you don't see it that way and you don't agree with it and it's not your values, it's not your belief system, straight away it's I would never, ever believe that. I would not, you reject it. right? It's kind of like, meat eaters who don't like vegetarians, right? And they look at it and it's like, oh, how could you not eat meat? And it's just like, and I don't just mean like the low key, like, when you're, and I say this as like an ex-vegetarian, I'd have people that didn't actually care. They're like, oh, but I just don't know how you can't eat a steak. Like, it's so good. But then you have people, I'm sure you've seen them on the internet, where they're like, what? Like, it blows their mind that you would not eat a steak a day. That is the type of rejection that we need when it comes to your identity work. So again, yes, analyze all the data, what's happening, but I promise you, if it's only shifting, and this is what collapsing time is all about. When I started to hear the phrase of like collapsing time, I didn't really understand it to its full ability. I was like, okay, so you just like, instead of something taking like 90 days, you can collapse it into 7. But I didn't really fully understand that. But what I'm sharing with you now is like collapsing time is quite literally rejecting your current reality and instead replacing it with something and someone who you want to be. Like, there's no doubt or no question. Like I said, back to the example, if you were someone that's so rooted, like you should eat a steak a day, like it's so ingrained as the right thing, you will reject any like vegetarian propaganda, anyone speaking about it. That's how you need to be. That's what it means to collapse time. The way I see collapsing time is, imagine it's like a string, and you've laid the string out on a table, and then you pull the ends of the strings together to meet in the middle. And one side is who you are now, and the other end of this string is who you want to be. And collapsing time is bringing them together, right? It's creating the lack of distance between them. And the reason why strategy cannot get you there alone, and this is why I teach strategy meets subconscious mastery, is because your subconscious, if it rejects everything that has gotten you up to this point now and replaces it with what you perceive as the desired position and who you want to be, that is called collapsing time. I know this turned into a little bit of like a woo-woo conversation, but I think it's important to know because I see it thrown around time and time again. But like, you have to quite literally reject brainwash. You have to feed yourself a different version of yourself. When I quit my job and I moved to Bali in 2019 and I started a business, I quite literally had to reject everything I knew, reject the safetyness of living in Perth, reject, and I don't mean like reject my friendship group. I wasn't friends with them, but I mean like reject their norms, like what they perceived as normal when it came to a job. Reject the fact that I could only make money from a job. Reject the fact that I had to believe my boss who told me that me wanting to be my own boss and work in my pajamas was crazy, was like insane. Like the way when I said that to him one time, he's like, haha, keep dreaming. Like, in his head, he rejected that because he sees that as, only people like Elon Musk of the world can do that. But I had to quit and move over there, and I had to reject everything I knew about that identity, about that life. Like, that is one of the biggest shifts I feel like I will ever have in my life. Because I cannot tell you, like, I began a business in a different country with no friends there, when I had no prior experience about running an online business. I had $700 to my name. $680 of that went to the first month of rent. Like, I had to make it work. I think my first payment, I'm trying to remember correctly, like my very first payment I made was like $495. It was either $495 or like $297 Australian, like something like that. And I actually need to go back and check my Stripe and have a look what that first payment was. But like, then I got that, and the belief started to root itself, because then when you start to believe something differently and you start to brainwash, like I every day was like, I either make this work, like I become someone who owns a business and works online, or I go back to Perth and I get another job in the fitness industry and I'm unhappy. And I won't be able to get a rental straight away, so I'll have to move back in with my dad. Like, I did not want that. So I told myself the latter every single day. No, I live here. I have an online business. I have clients. And I used to quite literally like look at my Google Calendar. I will never ever forget this. And I would visualize those spots, like slots, slots on my Google Calendar coming up for a Tuesday, like booked out Tuesday. And within 2 years, like my Tuesdays and my Wednesdays were like that, booked out, like exactly, like I can even still see it in my head. But I share this example with you because it's a perfect example to tell you that you cannot, like if I had just accepted like, okay, yeah, I'm moving here and I'm starting a business, but like what if it doesn't work, or my like friends don't think like this is the right thing, or like my friends have got like normal jobs, perceived normal jobs, and like this and that, and I kept the mentality of who I was before I left, I wouldn't I wouldn't have been successful. So yes, do what you can every week. Every week, if you're serious about making a change, I'm going back to the first point first. If you're serious about making a change in your life this year, like you want to get to December and like things have radically fucking changed and you've collapsed time, you need to assess the data and the analytics, and you need to be ruthless about it. And even if like a few weeks go by and nothing's really changed or things have gotten worse, you need to shift. So you can't just analyze and be like, oh, okay, I lost this amount of followers, or like I blew my budget by $500 this week. No, like, so what are you doing to avoid that? Like, what's actually worked to get you to that point? Let's go back to that. This is what I do. Let's go back to the thing that worked to get me to that point, and let's reverse engineer it and make it better. It's about making it better. And then on top of that, it's about how you see yourself, how you perceive yourself. Because I promise you, your belief in who you are is what is going to make you successful. And, my partner said something to me the other day. He was like, I'm just so proud of you for what you've created. And, sometimes I'm like, fuck, like I make a living working online, impacting people, getting to share, like I have a podcast, I get to do this, I'm on YouTube. Like, that's just fucking insane, right? But you have to see yourself as a person you want to become, and you can't half-ass it. Like, you have to, like, full-blown, like I said, I fully just rejected, like, I am not this struggling personal trainer, gym fitness manager from Perth. I'm not. I am someone who lives in a tropical country, a beautiful country, and I am making money online, and I am connecting with women globally. Like, I just saw myself as that. Have a look at what is happening for you for Q2 to Q4. Get honest about a process of analyzing how you are going about life, the choices you make every single week, what needs to change, what doesn't, you just need to keep doing it because it's working right now. Don't fix something that's not broken. And then how are you rejecting what you currently see as normal? You haven't got the results you want now because you see it as normal. Reject that. Normalize what you want. You're making 8K months, but you want 50K. Normalize 50K. I feel like a episode that's going to come up soon. Like, I'm going to talk more about, like, in depth about subconscious and the nervous system and getting that on board. Let me know here on YouTube if you're watching this, in the comments if you want that, or slide into my DMs if you're listening to this podcast. But I hope this has given you some spark back, because I know it can get to like March and then your motivation levels, they die a little bit. I hope that this has brought you back. I appreciate you. I appreciate you listening to this podcast episode, and I will speak to you and see you in the next episode. Bye.